Carol Ofori. Weekdays 9 a.m. till 12. East Coast Radio.
It's a Wednesday, so we woman crush on a Wednesday. And today's no different, right? Today's no different. This is a space where we celebrate beautiful women doing incredible things in life. And just by them living their lives the way they live it, it gives us inspiration to keep going. It also gives us a space to say, I'm not the only one going through a trial or a tribulation or a challenge, right? So today is no different. We have an amazing woman. She's from right here in Durban. She's an entrepreneur. She's a consultant, motivational speaker, fashion stylist. She's a wife. She's a mom. She's so many things, including, and I'm going to try and get through as many as I can because the lady's got a CV and a half, okay? I actually met her last year because she was awarded again in the Standard Bank's Top 100 Influential Women in 2020, and I met her at the Women in Business event in Durban last year. But I will tell you that she's a vice chairperson of the Women in Business Forum here in Durban at the Durban Chamber of Commerce. She's been married for 23 years. That alone is a title, thank you. And she's got an incredible story. She's just got so many things going on in her life, and I think it's time we meet her. Lenore Goss-Matjie, how are you?
Good morning. I am blessed. I'm well. Thank you. How are you?
Fantastic. I'm doing well. By the way, if you're on Facebook, you can hop on and watch us live in studio. The cameras are very much rolling. Thank you for joining us in studio. I know in your personal life there's been a lot going on. So thank you so much for honoring the interview as well.
I'm so humbled. Thank you so much, Carol, for having me.
Well, let's jump straight into it. I know your first love was dancing.
Absolutely. I've been dancing from the age of, I think, 7, 8 years old. I started as a ballerina. I was a tomboy. So my mum put me into ballet to girlify me a bit. And then I got into ballroom and Latin American when I was in standard 8, Standard 6, grade 8.
Grade 8, yeah. No, we have to do the math these days.
We've got to,
yeah.
Yeah, so, and that's where it all began for me, my absolute passion and love for dancing. Long story short, I turned professional when I was 18 years old. My hubby of 23 years was actually my dance teacher. He was from Mafeking at the time.
Yeah.
And came down to Durban, saw him at a dance studio, started training me. I turned professional. And the rest is history. I'm married for 23 years to the love of my life.
23 years. And you also hold a couple of championships under your belt as well, don't you?
Yes, we were. When we danced together, Latin, we were placed third in South Africa, professional Latin, and the undefeated KZN Latin American Pro Champions.
That is so exciting. And the story kind of gets more interesting as we go, KZN. Firstly, turns out hubby and my family, we know each other from Mafeking. Yeah, small world, because, small town vibes. But that's a side story. What I want to get into is the space where you found out you had a chronic disorder that would now stop your passion for dance and led you to a different path in life. Talk to us about that, because I believe you were not even diagnosed in South Africa. South African doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong. And for all these years, you were trying to figure out what is going on. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, Carol. In fact, I was teaching, I'm a school educator as well. I'm a qualified school educator as well. And we ran one of the biggest dance studios in KZN, my husband and I. The day before, I had a freak accident, literally a horrific freak accident. Not a car accident. I had something that fell onto my back at a shopping center when I was 29 weeks expecting with my son, Alessandro.
And he's sitting right next to you doing peace signs. He's like, peace signs. Yeah, he's here. Okay.
And literally overnight, my life changed. Long story short, I landed up in a wheelchair. My son was born prematurely, fighting for his life. Yeah. I landed up in a wheelchair with this excruciating pain that didn't allow me to put weight on my feet. I could not walk. And I was teaching dancing that day, that morning, before I had the injury.
Right.
And for years and years, well, he was born, obviously, and then I still struggled with this pain. Doctors couldn't understand why I was struggling to get up and walk.
Yeah.
Discharged from hospital in a wheelchair, physiotherapy, you name it. I was on every bit of medication you can imagine. I was going for physio, chiropractor. And a year and a half later, I was still in the same position, living with this excruciating pain. I was sent to psychologists who said to my husband, tell your wife to take a Panado. and try and get up and walk. It's a mental condition, but I'm a dancer. I've danced my entire life. I know the difference between pain, and I had a dance studio. I had a livelihood. I had a child that I needed to look after, that I couldn't look after, that I had to rely on my husband and my mom and my 2.5-year-old daughter at the time to look after. So eventually my husband said to me, listen, I've researched enough and I've come into contact with somebody. There's a pain specialist in Germany that we are going to travel in. We're going to go and find out what is wrong with you, what is going on with your body. So off we went to Germany, with my 2 children, my baby and my daughter that was a little older, my toddlers. And within 2.5, 3 days of being in the hospital with Dr. Hemke, I'll never forget Dr. Hemke. He diagnosed me just like that and said, well, you've got fibromyalgia. I didn't know what that was. Never heard of it, never blew my mind. What is that? So it's basically a chronic pain condition. It affects the muscles and the joints in the body. Hence, that made sense. I was suffering with all this inflammation. My body would go stiff. I would go into spasm. As my kids say, Mom would freeze. I would just freeze. Not go into a fit, but I would literally just freeze. But I think it was the pain. It was the pain that overtook my entire body that was so debilitating. I couldn't walk. I had to have my 2.5-year-old daughter sit in the shower with me on a stool and bath me. I had to have times where I couldn't use my arms properly and have my husband see to me. It was hard.
And I want to go into what pushed you and what kept you going, because outside of that, you're a stylist, you're a consultant, you're a motivational speaker, you're part of the Durban Chamber, you're doing so many other things. And yet your body doesn't always want to do those things with you, right? And that's the one thing we forget as able-bodied people, that just take our health for granted, right? Absolutely. That you can be walking in a shopping center and your entire life can change.
Absolutely.
We're going to get into that next.
Carol Ofori, weekdays 9 a.m. till 12, East Coast Radio.